Hello friends, hope you're doing well. My name is Flaky, and myself, Kalimi and Kraito, have a new game to announce. And you can go ahead and play it right now. There's a free demo on Steam. The game is called Spellshot. Check it out in the description. And this game really came about as the result of some questions. And the questions were, can we make a first-person Vampire Survivors? Can we make an FPS auto battler? Can we take the re-rolling shop from mini auto battlers such as Super Auto Pets, Underlords, TFT, and put that into an already existing genre like the FPS? We also wanted to see, can we make a first-person shooter feel like a swarm game or a survivors type game where there are hordes of enemies coming at you, and with certain builds and items you can lay waste to all of them? So we wanted to see how far we could take this, how successful it could be. Is it fun? What does it play like? And that's why we would love to get y'all's feedback on that. And I also wanted to show you guys where development has been and what it's been like. So, we released Keep It Live, our last game, 2022, I think April 8th. Took a little break for maybe a month or two, and then we got into making this game. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull up a build now of what this game looked like a long time ago. All right, so this is Spellshot as of May of 2022. So this is almost a year ago when we first got started on development, and we've got the enemies that may look familiar to some of you, these 2D sprites. They were featured in another game we made, but we really ended up having to scrap it, called Dungeon Commander. These guys come out of these doors over here, and they chase after you. You shoot them, you do damage to them, you get money, and with that money you can unlock new areas and go to this shop over here, this little shopkeeper. And here is where kind of the crux of our game was gonna come about. So what this is this allows me to buy different spells to put in my gun, thus pretty much drastically changing the behavior, like this bouncing healing orb, or this stalactite that pierces through enemies, or this explosive barrel that just kind of mows them down and doesn't actually explode right now. So the theory was, okay, can we put this shop in the game? Can we swap out different spells and alter the functionality of your gun? But there were some problems. There were some things we didn't necessarily like about this, that the functionality of your gun would be altered so drastically if you're going from shooting barrels to shooting healing orbs to just shooting basic bullets. And so we wanted a bit more consistency and an experience that was a little bit more like a traditional FPS, where you're actually shooting bullets, in a game like Halo or COD or Battlefield or CSGO or whatever. So what you just saw in that early demo came about from a few mock-ups and discussion sessions we had. The first of which was this idea of having the shop UI. So different spells showing up in the shop: a fireball, snowball, exploding barrel, earthen spike, poison flask. Them having completely different functionalities, and you dragging spells from the shop into your gun. And then depending on, where you drag those spells, you may also be able to activate buffs in your gun, like reduce the reload time and increase your fire rate. What that meant later for the gun is this idea of, okay, every gun is going to have a set amount of bullets in a magazine, and each spell will modify an individual bullet in that magazine instead of one gun having one sort of functionality, which is, I think, what Gunfire Reborn does. You know, you gun swap in that game. Each gun does different things. There's guns that shoot fire, guns that shoot like electric bullets and stuff like that. But we wanted to kind of mix and match that. So what this later turned into is, it turned into the concept of, okay, instead of actually shooting these spells out of your gun, let's instead make these gems that have the spell's powers inside them, and you can modify your bullets. You can infuse them with these gems, which will give them the special ability of knocking enemies back, having a chance to spawn a poison cloud, putting a flame debuff on them, so on and so forth. Now, for the 3D art style and the enemies, we really liked what we had been working on with this game called Dungeon Commander, which was like a RTS / auto battler from a overhead perspective and an isometric overhead perspective. And we said, like, what happens if we drop down onto the level of these enemies? We go into first person in these environments. What would that look like? What would that play like? You know, kind of like old Doom enemies being 2D, but us having the full 3D working space with elevation and everything to walk around them and shoot them. And so that turned into our second major build I want to show you here. So this is from December of last year, so just a few months ago. This is about 5 or 6 months after the last build we just saw with all the Pro Builder objects. And if I go ahead and go in here. All right, so now as you can see, we're in a castle. It's lit. It's a little orange, a little gray. I've got my gun here, and I can run around and shoot these zombies that are trying to break in and come get me. I also have a knife. I can knife them, do some damage. And I have money in the bottom left. I have health. And now I have this shop that shows up with different gems, different spells I can buy and slot into my gun if I had enough money. There's also set bonuses for putting different spells or spells of the same type together. So fire gives you crit damage. In this build, ice would give you fire rate. You can unlock more slots for your gun. And you can also go around and explore the room, unlock different areas. In the bottom right, you can see those are my bullets. It's showing the basic bullet right now because I don't have anything else. But if I went and bought some other bullets, then it would show what is next in my magazine, basically. Is it a fireball? Is it a, exploding barrel? Like, what is it essentially? And so now this brings us to a much more recent time, a build from just a couple weeks ago. So this is Spellshot as of maybe a week ago. We've got options integrated now. We've spiced up the main menu, and we can go ahead and play the demo here.
Teleportation complete.
And now we've teleported in into the same scene that you saw earlier. It's a little bit differently. There's more ambient blue light. There are now some different sounds in the game. We can slide. We can stab and slash the enemies. We've got mana in the bottom right hand corner where our gold is. We've now got a shield that gets depleted first before anything else. We can repair these barriers here. And now we can end the round with some gold. Hopefully buy a spell. So we got some interest for ending the round. We got a new type, electric, got more set bonuses. And I can go ahead and buy this spike stone, which does 105 damage, only 5% crit chance. But it's got some recoil damage, so it's gonna hurt me every time I shoot it. Or every time it hits an enemy. So if I go ahead and shoot this guy here, you can see my shield flash went down a little bit. It does more damage to your shield than it does to you. So it's not a major concern in early rounds, especially if you're kind of spacing it out, but it can get pretty bad later on. So now I'm going to show you some gameplay from some of the late rounds with more spells, with more enemies. And as you can see, things get pretty hectic pretty quickly. You can start doing a lot of damage, and it's very important to keep your distance from these guys so you don't die. So that's what we've been working on for about the past year. A FPS, a roguelike FPS with an auto chess shop in it. I would love to hear y'all's feedback on it. If you go play it, download the demo on Steam. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I will see you in the next one.